Hi, in this video we're going to look at how to create the news listing and the news article or a news details page. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do here is show you how we go about creating such a page. And if we drill down or click on the link here, we'll go into another page, which is like the article page. So to get started, let's actually open our Visual Studio Code. That's it. And you're going to see that I created two definition files here. So if I go to components, we have the news listing page and the news article page. The news listing page is really simple. So all it has is a route type, which just has a display name and an icon and no fields. And then we add a component as we've seen previously, so that when the route type is added, it has a component within that as well. So we added this component called news listing. The article page has some fields, so you can see here we've added again a route type for it, and this route type has a set of fields which are title, summary, content, date, and image. And the date, I just put the standard value to it to be datetime.now or now. And then we of course added another component as well. The next thing we need to do is actually create the HTML or the React rendering for it. So here we have the news listing. So again, what I did was I took the corporate, Habitat corporate, I went here and took the latest news. I just copied this HTML and put it here. The next thing, I converted the for loop into a map. So it's props.fields.items.map, and I started reading like items.fields.image, and the date field I converted it into a date field, and so on and so forth. And this is probably the most important part here, or something that we haven't mentioned before, which is how do I make them linkable? So I wanted this HTML, ultimately when you click on it, let me go back here. When you click here or here, it would go to the actual page. So in order to do so, what I did was I did it in two ways. So the first one here would result in, it would get the item.name and just replace any space with a dash, and then just does an href to the news dash this. The second one is news dash item.id. So if you click on this one here, I keep getting them wrong. If you click on here, the title, you're going to see that the redirection URL is with the name, so 37 Habitat Legal. Whereas if I click on the link at the bottom here, this link, oops, that didn't work. It would go to the ID, but I think I just linked it wrong. But it would go through the ID, the item ID, which sometimes is not really user-friendly in terms of when you read it. I know what I did wrong. I haven't published yet. So this should be news dash. Let me try like that just to show you. Yeah. So as you can see, it's not really friendly as a URL because it just shows the GUID. So that's why I don't like that way. I'd rather do the replace here. So I think this gives a much neater look and feel than this one. I really hope that they should, like Sitecore JSS team should have had one of the props be, or one of the item IDs should be the path or something like that. I think that would be super helpful. But until then, you have these two options to do it. Next, we go to the news article. Again, this is a very basic thing. So the first thing I did, I just added the with Sitecore context, of course, here, and I added it here. And then I added Sitecore context, route, and fields so that I can get the fields.image, fields.content that I'm displaying there. Next, all I need to do is, of course, deploy this. So I did a JSS deploy app, and let's go back here. Once I did the deploy app, the next things I need to do is, we have a set of things we need to do. First, I need to go to the actual rendering. So layouts rendering, project, and then news listing. And as we've always done, I want this to read from the context item children resolver, because I want the news to read all the items under it. So if I go here, news will have all these under it, so I want it to read all these children of the context item. Next thing I need to do is actually go to my news page data template and the news listing data template and start assigning standard values. So the first thing I wanted to configure here is the insert options. So within a news listing, you should be able to add only news, right? So I put here within the news listing, only news page can be added, so that when the user clicks on the news here or the content editor and clicks on insert, it only shows him the news page. And the second thing I wanted to do here is actually make sure that any news item that's added is automatically added with the component in it. So I went to the presentation details and I edited it here, and I added this news listing in JSS main. So what I did is actually did an add here and added news listing and added JSS main here, like that. And I did the same thing exactly with the news page. So it's within the news listing and the news page. I had to do the same thing here. So let's add the news page one here. Then JSS main. Okay, so that every time I add a new news article, it's automatically added with this component pre-added or predefined in there. Now I have a semi-ready version. The only thing I need to do after that is just make sure that they all inherit from the default page design. So what I need to do is go to presentation, page designs, because remember, these are different routes, these are new routes, and I'll go and say news page should use the default layout and news listing should also use the default layout. And there you have it. So if I add a new news article here, so let's just say news page, new news, I'll add a title, some news, summary, some news information, content. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all this data additions, but I'll just quickly add an image just to make it look nice and save. Now if I open this in preview, you're gonna see that our news article is there. If I open the news details, news listing, it should show some news as well here with the link and everything. So there you have it. It's really very easy to do, and it gives you so much capability. You now have the capability to create a listing and to create links to that listing and to create article pages. Thanks for watching.